Thanks for staying with us. So we're still talking about how do you develop or grow wealth without capital, which is like the average problem a young person says, I don't have money. I can't start a business. My parents are poor. I don't have money. Let me start with that. Let me start with that question. How does a young person grow wealth when there's no capital?
Well, first and foremost, we need to realize that it is possible. The mindset has to shift from this is impossible to this is possible. Okay. So if the person doesn't have a positive mindset, there is no amount of sermon you give to him that will change that, all right? So first and foremost, we must realize that it is possible. Secondly, you need to realize that there is capital beyond money, right? If a person can think about capital beyond money, then they realize that these things are really, really, really possible, all right? What are the capital that we have beyond money? Number one, you have heritage capital. Heritage capital talks about whatever your parents afforded you, all right? They gave you education, they gave you exposure, they gave you a good environment to grow up in. That's heritage capital. Secondly, there is intellectual capital. Not everyone has that advantage of a good head start, all right? But then there is intellectual capital. Intellectual capital talks about knowledge, talks about skills, and these can be gotten formally and informally. So whether you were given opportunity to go learn in a formal school or not, so far you were alive and you were able to attain adulthood, you have learned something. And you definitely know something that someone else doesn't know. You can convert that into money. Third, there is relational capital, which is where many people do not really look into, especially the young people of today, right? Everybody is going after money, but we forget that the amount of money you will eventually have is dependent on the amount of human interest you are able to generate. Yeah. So the quality of your network will eventually determine how much money flows into your account. And fourth, there is reputational capital, which has to do with trust. You know, recently I've been talking to young people, and sometimes I have to ask, if you were to start, maybe you don't have money, let's agree you don't have money, but if you were to start maybe a taxify business, how much do you need? How much do you need?
Taxify business.
Taxify, yes.
I need a car.
A car. You need a car, yes. You need a car, but you don't have to have a car.
Okay.
Yes.
You just need someone to trust
what you need, you need someone to trust you with their cars, and that's all. But most people have not built that reputational capital. Some have not even, put a right step forward to help someone else in need, all right? Because they're only thinking of their own needs. They've not solved other people's problems or meet the needs of others enough to earn quality relationships that can bring them the big deals. So very quickly, I think people need to read the stories of others to understand that their situations are not peculiar. There is no one whose situation is peculiar. If you are hungry, there are 1,000,001 hungry people who have also become successful in whatever they're doing. Think about it. Whatever situation you think you found yourself in, certain other people have found themselves in worse situations. So you can't afford to say, because I need to survive, therefore I will grab everything I can see. There are seasons in our lives where we need to survive. COVID came. We just need to survive COVID. All right? Yeah. But it shouldn't make you live for survival. There are two different things. Having to survive a particular season is different from being configured to live for survival. And that's where many people miss it. A lot of people just live for survival. But if you have to survive, it's a different kettle of fish entirely.
You see, what you said was quite interesting because I have a story of a young man. His name is Tijani. He's probably watching right now. And he worked at a company, and in the company, I observed he was a young guy. He was very resourceful. If you need anybody, call Tijani. Do this, you want to buy gifts for somebody, call Tijani. Corporate everything. Tijani was the most resourceful young man. Then he had to leave. I don't know what happened. He left. And then he called people like me that know him. Okay, I'm starting a company, I'm doing this, and I'm using him today for what I'm doing because I remember how resourceful he was doing to the company, not even to me. To the company, he was working. I just observed that this guy was so good. So I'm using him now for what I want for my corporate gifts for this season. Fantastic. I'm using his company because he did in his own small space. So he didn't have money. He didn't start a business with money. But because he had relationships, quality relationships that he led, that was the capital he used to get this business for me today. So that's an example. Young people, if you're working, if you're an intern, if you're working, honestly, do it well.
Do it well.